You are the strong one. You are the architect of your own life. You are the person everyone calls when their world is falling apart. But when your world is falling apart, your phone is silent. Not because people don't care, but because you never let them know. You have this unshakable, almost aggressive belief that if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. You feel a physical cringe, a wave of nausea whenever you have to ask for a favor. Even when you are drowning in work or sick or exhausted, the words, "I need help," feel like a failure. They feel dangerous. Welcome to the isolated world of hyper-independence. In our modern culture, especially in the West, we praise this behavior. We put independent on our resumes. We celebrate the self-made man or woman. But psychologists and neuroscientists are starting to tell a different story. They are suggesting that there is a very thin line between healthy independence and a trauma response. Healthy independence is the ability to stand on your own 2 feet. Hyper-independence is the inability to stand with anyone else. It is not a personality trait. It is a shield. And if you are watching this, chances are you built that shield a long time ago to survive a war that no one else saw. Today, we are going to deconstruct the psychology of the child who grew up too fast. We are going to look at the neuroscience behind why you can't relax and why this extreme self-reliance is actually ruining your relationships, your health, and your peace of mind. Let's start by looking at what this actually looks like in your daily life. Because often, hyper-independence masquerades as success. You are likely a high achiever. You are efficient. You are a perfectionist. In the workplace, you are the person who stays late to fix everyone else's mistakes because teaching them how to do it feels like a waste of time. You operate under the assumption that no one can execute a task as well as you can. But beneath that efficiency is a deep, simmering resentment. You often feel like you are the only adult in the room. You wonder why everyone else seems so incompetent or lazy. You think, why do I have to do everything? But you never actually delegate the work. Then there is the struggle with emotional vulnerability. You might have many friends. You might be the life of the party. You are an excellent listener. You know everyone's secrets, everyone's struggles, but no one knows yours. When people ask, "How are you?" your automatic response is, "I'm fine," or "I'm good, just busy." Busy has become your personality. Busy is the armor you wear so you don't have to feel the loneliness. You also likely struggle with something psychologists call the inability to receive. When someone gives you a gift, do you feel a flash of anxiety? Do you feel an immediate need to repay them? When someone offers to carry a heavy box for you, do you instinctively say, "No, I've got it," even though your arms are shaking? This isn't just politeness. This is fear. Deep down, the hyper-independent person views human interaction as transactional. You believe that if you accept help, you now owe that person. You have created a debt, and to a nervous system wired for survival, debt is dangerous. Debt means they have leverage over you. So you keep the ledger at zero. You give, give, and give, but you never take. You remain in control. So where does this come from? Humans are biologically designed to be interdependent. We are pack animals. We are designed to need each other. So for you to override millions of years of biology, something significant must have happened. We have to look at the architecture of your childhood. Hyper-independence is rarely born. It is made. It is usually the result of an environment where you learned very early on that you could not rely on the adults around you. This is often referred to as parentification. This happens when the roles in the family are reversed. Instead of the parent taking care of the child's physical and emotional needs, the child becomes the caregiver. But it doesn't always look like abuse. Sometimes it looks like the good child. Maybe your parents were physically absent, working 3 jobs to keep food on the table. You learned not to ask for things because you didn't want to be a burden. You learned to cook for yourself, clean for yourself, and hide your problems so you wouldn't add to their stress. Maybe your parents were physically present but emotionally immature. Perhaps you had a parent who treated you like a therapist or a best friend. They poured all their marital problems, their anxieties, and their fears onto your small shoulders. You became the emotional anchor for the family. You learned to suppress your own feelings to stabilize the household. In these scenarios, you learned a brutal lesson. Needs are a liability. When you were a child, having needs, like needing comfort, attention, or help, might have been met with rejection, anger, or simply silence. If you cried, maybe you were told to stop being dramatic. If you asked for help, maybe you were ignored. So your developing brain made a calculation to survive. It decided that relying on others is painful. It decided that hoping for support leads to disappointment. To protect yourself from that pain, you made a vow, consciously or subconsciously: I will never need anyone again. I will take care of myself. This was a brilliant survival strategy for a 10-year-old living in an unstable home. It saved you. It allowed you to minimize conflict and maximize your safety. But here is the tragedy. You are no longer that child. You are an adult now, living in a safer environment, but your brain is still running the old software. You are still wearing a heavy suit of armor in a room where no one is attacking you. To truly heal this, we need to understand what is happening biologically. We need to talk about your nervous system. According to the Polyvagal Theory, our nervous system has different states. When we feel safe and connected, we are in the ventral vagal state. This is where we can relax, play, and connect with others. But if you grew up too fast, your nervous system spent most of its time in sympathetic activation. This is the fight or flight mode. For the hyper-independent person, the fight response is turned inward. You are fighting your own human nature. You are fighting the biological imperative to connect. You are in a constant state of hypervigilance. Your brain is constantly scanning the environment for threats, for things that need to be fixed, for responsibilities that need to be managed. You cannot relax because, to your brain, relaxation equals vulnerability, and vulnerability equals death. This is why you feel guilty when you rest. This is why you feel anxious on vacations. Your body is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, even when you are sitting on a couch. You have conditioned your body to believe that safety only comes from doing. If you stop doing, you are no longer safe. This leads to a condition often called high-functioning anxiety. You are functioning, yes. You are paying your bills, you are hitting your deadlines, but your internal engine is redlining. You are running on fumes. And eventually this leads to burnout, not just physical burnout, but emotional bankruptcy. This trauma response wreaks the most havoc in your romantic relationships. You might find yourself in a pattern of avoidant attachment. When someone tries to get close to you, when they try to love you, you pull away. Their affection feels suffocating. You might label yourself as low maintenance, but in reality, you are low vulnerability. Paradoxically, hyper-independent people often attract partners who are projects. You attract people who need saving, people who are messy, or people who are emotionally unavailable. Why? Because that is a dynamic you are comfortable with. You know how to be the giver. You know how to be the fixer. Being the strong one gives you a sense of control. If you are with someone who needs you, you don't have to worry about needing them. But this is a lonely road. You end up in relationships where you are the parent and your partner is the child. You feel resentful that you have to carry the mental load, but you also refuse to let go of the control required to share that load. You are an island, not because you enjoy the view, but because you are afraid of the bridge. So how do we begin to take off the armor? How do we move from hyper-independence to healthy interdependence? It is important to understand that the goal is not to become dependent. We don't want you to become helpless. The goal is interdependence. This is the healthy middle ground. It is the realization that you are a whole person on your own, but you are stronger when connected to others. It is knowing that you can survive alone, but you don't have to. Here are 3 actionable steps to start rewiring your brain. Step 1 is the pause. The next time you are struggling, maybe you are moving furniture, or you are overwhelmed with a project, or you are just having a bad day, and your instinct screams, "I'll handle it." Pause. Just stop for 5 seconds. Recognize that voice. That is the voice of the wounded child, not the rational adult. Ask yourself, is it actually true that I have to do this alone? Or is that just a feeling? Step 2 is micro movements of trust. You don't have to start by pouring your heart out to a stranger. That is too much for your nervous system. Start small, very small. Ask a friend to pick up a coffee for you. Ask a colleague to proofread an email. Tell someone, I'm having a rough day, without following it up with, but I'm fine. When you do this, your brain will scream. It will sound the alarm. It will tell you that you are being a burden. It will tell you that you look weak. Let the alarm ring. Breathe through it, and then observe what actually happens. Does the world end? Does the person yell at you? Or do they simply say, sure, no problem? Every time you ask for help and you are not rejected, you are creating a new neural pathway. You are teaching your nervous system a new truth. It is safe to have needs. It is safe to be human. Step 3 is grieving the childhood you didn't have. This is the hardest part. You have to grieve the fact that you had to grow up so fast. It is unfair. It makes sense that you are angry or sad about it. The strong one is usually the one who has cried the least. But those tears are stored in your body. Healing requires you to feel the sadness you suppressed when you were 10 years old. You need to tell that inner child that they don't have to work anymore. They can retire. You, the adult, have got this now. Finally, I want you to redefine what strength means to you. For years, you thought strength meant silence. You thought strength meant endurance. You thought strength meant never needing anyone. But look at nature. The strongest structures are not the rigid ones. They are the flexible ones. Trees in a forest survive storms because they intertwine their roots underground. When the wind blows, they hold each other up. A single tree standing alone on a hill is the first to be blown over. Real strength is the courage to be seen. Real strength is admitting that you cannot carry the weight of the world on your own, and that you were never meant to. If you have watched this far, take this as your permission slip. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to be messy. You are allowed to ask for a hand to hold. You survived your childhood. You made it. You are safe now. You don't have to serve anymore. You are allowed to start living. Thank you for watching. If this video resonated with you, please share it with someone else who is the strong one. They might need to hear this too.